Hey guys, welcome to Season 1, Episode 2 of Underground Outdoors. My name's Dan.
I'm Mitch.
How's your hunting season going, man?
My hunting season's going okay so far. I was a little worried, even with early season starting up and then going into regular season. Like I'd mentioned before, Southeast Virginia, we start a little bit premature compared to the rest of the state as far as regular hunting season goes. So it was a little slow, but as you know, the land that we hunt is very overgrowth with trees, and it's not real well maintained. So there's not a lot of vegetation for these deer to eat.
And I agree with you completely. That's one of the things that I'm sure all you fellow hunters out there deal with on a day-to-day and a yearly basis is hunting on properties that you're privileged to hunt on, but that just aren't maintained the way that you would specifically like to. So Mitch and I spoke with the landowner and the club that we're involved with to see if we can better it for next year, because as hunters we always want to grow, and not only grow as hunters but grow the land and the population that we're hunting as well. So you got your first buck this year, huh?
I did get my first buck
How'd
this
that
year.
go?
It never really planned out the way you wanted to. Things just kind of happen. You know, I'm sitting up in the stand, and Dan joined me out there. And just as he got out there, I looked into the field, and it was a stand I was really unfamiliar with, and I'd never really hunted in that area of the property before. And I looked out on the field, and there sat about a 2-year-old 4-point. And I just kind of looked at it for a second, and I looked at him, and I said, well, you know, that's a buck. And we just happened to have shotguns that day, so we weren't out bow hunting. It was kind of early in the season. But now that the season's taken off, we've been kind of setting up our spots, and we set up a couple different spots that we kind of like. And I'll send you guys some footage out on that later on and show you where and why I set it up the way I set it up.
And absolutely, that stand that he was hunting out of has been the sweet spot so far this year on our property. It's sitting on 2 big, beautiful fields that we will show you footage of the buck that I actually shot out of that stand probably 3 weeks later. It was my second longest shot ever that I've taken with the bow, in between 50 and 55 yards. And as he said, it always happens the way that you're not expecting it. I was hunting with my daughter that day, trying to get her on her first deer. And it just so happened she climbed down onto the stand to go and use the restroom. And on the way back, that little buck stepped out, and I had to seize the day, carpe diem, and put some meat in the freezer. So, what's your plans for future hunts, bro?
One of the things that I've been doing a little bit of research on is we're primarily sit right off of the Dismal Swamp. And some of the properties actually on the Dismal Swamp, but it's not part of the nature reserve. It's private property that we have the hunting rights to. So one of the issues that we're running into with it being swampy is deer do not travel in normal patterns the way that they would in dry woods or big woods that are, opened up in other areas that are just outside of where we hunt. They'll travel more in close-knit packs, or they travel the same tight paths that they know that they're safe in, because they can't smell over the soupy mud in the swampy water, and just the other smells that are coming along with the fall setting in and the leaves falling and all that stuff down here.
One thing we're both learning is that swamp buck hunting is a whole new ball game. But to give you guys something to look forward to, my daughter and I will be headed up to Pennsylvania here in a couple weeks, right after the Thanksgiving holiday. Also, a little break off the tangent, 2 Navy veterans, we just want to say Happy Veterans Day, and thank you to all that have served, are serving, and those that have paid the ultimate sacrifice. Thank you so very much for everything that you do every day to protect our freedoms and to give us the right to do what we're doing.
And I'd also like to apologize on behalf of the American people for their lack of spine and the way that they project themselves about life nowadays. But back to hunting and everything else, the weather has changed dramatically in the past week. It has gone from having 60, 70, 80 degree days to waking up and it's 32 degrees in the morning.
And it has been beautiful.
We talk about, gearing up and getting the right weather gear and all that other stuff. down here in Virginia, we have a saying, they say, wait 5 minutes and the weather will change.
Absolutely.
The weather really does change from a day-to-day basis down here. So you never really get acclimated to the weather. This morning I went out for a few hours. I didn't have a whole lot of time to get out, but I wanted to get in the woods for at least 4 hours this morning. I put on all my cold weather gear and I went out there and sat, and I'll tell you what, I was cold.
I got a text message from him saying, boy, we are buying a heater. And I can't say that I'm going to argue with it very much.
So,
with that, like I said, my daughter and I are going to be heading up to northwestern Pennsylvania to be hunting with my dad. So look forward to the footage from that. And from us at Underground Outdoors, have a great hunting season.
and I just want to say thank you to Virginia Arts Metal and Plastic for hooking us up with this beautiful sign you're seeing behind you.